Charlene Young.
Hey, I told
Here we go! Here we go!
on you.
Yo!
Nope. Just wanted to talk to the Domina about, stuff.
It may come as no surprise that I'm a bit of a Fallout guy. Whether it be the posters in my room, the many props that are laying around, or you can even see it in my apparel, that I'm a bit of a Fallout guy. And that whole love for the franchise came in 2012 when I played Fallout New Vegas on the PS3. Now, the game was a hand-me-down for me, and I've played it during a time where Fallout New Vegas was disregarded due to the technical issues behind it, and many of the, I guess, Metacritic reviews at the time and what was going on behind the scenes. It was remembered way differently from 2010 compared to now. It even became a source of bonding for a couple of my friends. You could see it in playthroughs that I've done. I'm not trying to send a...
You see that, right? Cheyenne, be quiet.
You can see it in many other ways that are documented from my end. What happened? Eric, what happened?
I'm just having a fucking meltdown because I can. Yes, sir.
And it became a source of an escapism for me because Fallout had a charm. Believe it or not, you know, I'm not a seasoned veteran of the Fallout franchise. I was only born when it first came out, and then, you know, when it became a part of the mainstream consoles and the 3D format was more of a standard, that's when I started playing Fallout. You know, I wasn't adjusted to the isometric view that it was presented as back in 1997, 1998. When 3D came around and New Vegas came out, that's when I became a fan of the franchise due to many of the playthroughs that I've done and many of the builds that I've done. And regardless of that, like, I never get tired of Fallout New Vegas, no matter what I've seen, what I've done, how many challenges I've done, how many platforms I've played on, whether it be a PS3, 360, Xbox One, a potato computer, or even a decent computer. Like, it never becomes tiresome to play that game, and it's always something for me to go back to. And what's good about the Fallout franchise is the versatility in modding from the fans. There was a lot of great content that came out during the Fallout modding phase on PC. And when modding became a standard on consoles, that's when the Fallout franchise really got the love it deserved, where things were made by the community for the community. So why am I telling you this now? Well, I'd like to introduce you to Fallout the Fron-Tear. It's basically a mod that released after several years in the making. It was advertised as a lore-friendly extension to the base of Fallout New Vegas. And that's my basic summary of what the mod represented. Instead, it turned into a hodgepodge of lore inconsistencies, video game tropes, pop culture references, kinks, and ham-fisted political messages. And when people played the game, when people played the mod, it sparked outrage. People saw right through it, and it sparked a lot of outrage within the Fallout community. And it's tough to really define the genesis of how this whole thing came about, due to how volatile topics can be on many forums and image boards. But what I can tell you is that there are some, like, documented footage of removed content from the mod. There's documented footage of the 4chan raid, the /V raid on the Fallout the Fron-Tear Discord.
Look, it's hugely problematic because I spent the better part of a month playing the game in the dev call, getting like developer commentary, and the whole experience was quite enjoyable for myself. The guy who got fired was in that call once or twice.
Tyler, can you play more Dota 2 on your channel?
Fuck off. Okay, okay, here's the deal. It's a podcast that I normally do. It's called Letting Off Steam. You can send in any questions, and 9 times out of 10, no, 9 times out of 10, 9 times out of 10, I will read your question to the developer.
And there's also an archive of Tyler McVicker's interview with TCG Spy. Like, the whole live stream was archived almost immediately before it was taken down by Valve News Network. And that whole interview became a bit of a disaster, to say the least. There was a lot of things that TG Spy have said and turned out to not really be true. You know what I mean? For one, TK Mantis, he almost had an involvement. He almost had a voice role in the mod, but given that this whole thing was going on and TK Mantis was trying to figure out what was going on, you know, he had been accused of raiding. He had been accused of just trying to harass the modders when that really wasn't the case. You know, the whole summary of like what happened with TK was the fact that like he got sick. He couldn't make the role. It sounds simple enough, right? But it turned out to be a bigger problem than what it really is. And when TK emailed Tyler McVicker and trying to figure out what was going on, TG Spy pretty much said that TK Mantis is a detractor.
I'm seeing we have a donation here from TK's Mantis. Asking a great question, why would he be worried if there was nothing to worry about?
I think that's a question that Odin would have to answer. He wrote the character.
Who is Odin?
He's the other writer on the team, one of 3 major writers.
So there are 3 major writers on the team. Could you walk me through the 3, please?
So you've got Devil's Wish, who wrote the NCR main quest. You've got Nazo, who wrote the Legion main quest and most of the side content. And you've got Odin, who wrote the Crusaders and a lot of the other side quest content.
Okay, we have another donation here from DC Guy 3. Little bit of advice. Mantis has a vendetta against the Fron-Tear since he couldn't be in it due to scheduling. Seems he's seeing this as an opportunity to harass more. Now that's quite a large allegation you are making against this Mantis person. I am not entirely filled in on who Mantis is.
Yes, I can speak of this. So
oh, please do.
We've been trying to keep sort of quiet about it because we didn't really want to, spark outrage.
Sure.
But TK's Mantis was casted as a minor character with less than 40 lines about probably a year ago at this point, and after a significant string of not submitting lines on time, not submitting lines at all, and then not accepting direction from our voice actor, we decided to recast him to a voice actor who was more appropriate, because we thought his delivery of the lines and his general inability to get lines in on time was just not worth the effort for such a small character. And in recasting, he decided to post an egregious and long-winded rant video in which he made it out like he was removed from the voice cast because he had COVID, regardless of the fact that we have close to 6 months of chat logs from him where he does not submit the lines that we wanted. Considering it was such a small character, we didn't feel it necessary to continue trying to sort of get around his inability to actually get lines in on time, so we recasted him, and he made that rant video, and he complained about the lizard people because he found them on one of the public casting calls, and he's been digging that into the mod's reputation ever since, because he has now a personal vendetta against the mod.
So you do assert that this Mantis individual has a vendetta against the Fron-Tear as a project?
Yes, his video was 20 minutes long, and he spent all 20 minutes ranting and raving about how he wasn't cast, and his own community was going against him, saying your lines sound kind of monotone and boring, and that was the truth. He tried to stipulate that we recast him because he was going under COVID. However, we recast him because he wasn't putting out the stuff that we wanted to. It was a very simple character, and he refused to actually submit lines on time. And as such, he's been going on this war against us, making multiple comments, multiple Twitter posts, multiple videos, and causing just a general ruckus for the sake of his own publicity and his own notoriety.
Okay, so let's move on.
Now, to keep the story fair here, TK did own up to how he acted. He admitted that he did not act the right way upon the initial situation. But this is just a harsh narrative that isn't true. What I personally think, I don't think TK is guilty of inciting like this whole raid that was going on at the time. Like, he was speaking from a place of honesty. And this shift of blame is a failed scapegoat. And you're gonna see that a lot in this video. You're gonna see a lot of scapegoating, a lot of people shifting the blame towards who, because there's a lot of poor management within that mod. So of course, I will address the elephant in the room, which is Zoo the Skunk. Zoo the Skunk was basically responsible for the icons and animations for the Pip-Boy UI. But as I went to the dev room, he also went into further detail about what else he contributed, which was
mostly all the icons you see in your Pip-Boy. I made custom ones for every single item, perk, reputation, and even the achievements. Steam version only. I also worked on tweaking and fixing various armors and weapons. I'm the one who added female versions and ground models to most armors. I even added a few weapons of my own with custom models. All melee, curiously enough. Did you find them all?
no, because I just stuck with the
also did
shotgun.
all sorts of minor tweaks and fixes across various areas of the mod, particularly the quest from the Crusaders questline. And I guess I also
So now you know.
added various
So you can clearly tell that he has a partial contribution to the Crusaders, mainly with America. So, of course, it's not fully on Zoo the Skunk, but Odin is definitely held liable here for America's character and the dialogue tree for her. Even that little note, that happy 18th birthday note, which is pretty much damage control, to say the least. It's most certainly abhorrent, and people were going to point it out eventually. And point it out they did. Essentially, when criticism was thrown back at /V, they found dirt on one of the creators, which was Zoo the Skunk. This was discovered before Zoo started damage controlling and taking everything down. What Zoo drew was mainly like My Little Pony porn. Pretty much NSFW content involving My Little Pony and that sort of thing. It's hard to say with a straight face, right? Now, I'm of course not condoning what Zoo the Skunk drew or anything like that or content like that. I just wanted to point out the fact that TCG Spy never knew what Zoo the Skunk did as a hobby, and he pretty much threw Zoo under the bus to save his skin and to save the rest of the team. Even though a lot of the artists and musicians in that mod have pretty much requested their content to be removed, given that the backlash took place. And of course, another instance of poor management is the poor PR. What I would like to point out is Phobos. I have no idea what their role is in Fallout the Fron-Tear, but this person is very vocal about the criticism that had went on from /V and many other sources. Phobos pretty much have been ranting and raving about how the criticism is bullshit. The gamers should be put in a gas chamber. This whole thing that, like, the big deal around America and the dialogue tree around it, saying that, like, it's not even illegal. They're calling 4chan kink shamers, that sort of thing. It's rough, man. But there was this one screenshot that really just speaks volumes, and it says, "This is going to set back big scale modding, sadly. It's unfortunate." And Phobos just flat out said, that's what the Fallout fandom deserves, to be honest. That speaks volumes in terms of just the community and the drama surrounding it. It's like we're damn near at the beginning of March, and of course, people still do not like how the creators have acted throughout this whole thing. Sure, they have apologized and they've reinstated the mod back on Nexus and removed a lot of the content, but that will forever damage their reputation based on how they've acted. So a little bit after, until the whole drama started dying down, I've gotten a hold of the content through archival means. So I was able to get the day one patch of Fallout the Fron-Tear. I've installed it, got Mod Organizer, and put all the necessary mods inside, and made a couple of streams out of them. And what I can tell you from my experiences playing this mod, I've never felt so disconnected from a story in my entire life. I would say mainly because of the fact that the game really judges you on your choices and your actions. You know what I mean? So I would like to point out this scene here during my first stream. It's archived only because like my sound was not working, but what I've been through on this particular cut, it says a lot. It breaks the fourth wall, and it really judges me based on my point.
You think, because you're nice and comfy in that chair, that this doesn't matter to you. Let me tell you, this isn't a game. Your actions carry weight that you don't seem to understand. Our world is shaped by you and your choices. And right now, that man is writhing in pain, missing an arm because of the choice you made.
And another thing as well, there were a lot of video game references and pop culture like references in there that were just completely unnecessary. It just became a bit of an eye roller to me, like the Red Dead Redemption 1.
Oh wait, this is Red Dead 1! Boys! This is Red Dead 1! Sinyuck!
the Halo weapons. Titan, huh? Here's what's gonna happen, right? We're gonna go and break out the Halo 3 battle rifle. The Metal Gears, all that sort of thing. And it doesn't keep me invested in the world and in the story altogether. If I'm gonna be honest, like, I won't say it's like the worst thing I've ever played, but it is most certainly like not one of my favorite things to play. It's like I had fun talking and engaging with people who knew about the mod in the chat, but other than that, it's just, you know, if I were to like just play this by myself with no one to really like talk to, interact with, in terms of like, you know, streaming and all that sort of thing, I would not have had some fun playing this mod. That's all I can really say about this mod. It was the least fun mod I've ever played, and I would hope that something like this, in terms of modding, will never happen again. So the lesson to really take away from this is that when you're creating a team project, there has to be effective communication. This is one big ship, and everyone who is a part of it, their hands are all on it. You can't really blame one single person for everything failing. Essentially, when you have effective communication, there's no scapegoating, things will turn out smooth. And another thing as well, don't demonize your critics out there, because they will sling some things back in your face that you may not know about. So just be careful out there when you're making a project and you're bad at PR. Have someone dedicated to at least do some sort of damage control, at least try to make some affirmation that things will be fine, things will be fixed. And what these modders have done is that, like, there's so much wrong with what they've done throughout this entire, like, Enclave war that has happened throughout throughout the entire week that it was created, when it was published on Nexus. So, I don't know, man. And for those making comments saying that people are out there just to demonize the modders, it's very harmful, because free content can be criticized. No matter what's out there, it will be critiqued, whether it's paid for, whether it's free, whether it's sponsored, etc. Just make sure that you're responsible as a team and take accountability. Just like one of the modders from Fallout Miami, they said it best in the screenshot. Everyone has accountability in this, and teamwork is essential. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me talk about this mod. And it's been a privilege talking about this mod and experiencing everything that has happened throughout the entire week that it was released. Whatever big mod comes out, and if there's something that isn't right, hopefully the next team that'll follow suit will take accountability. Hopefully there will be some responsibility in that. So, always learn the lessons from mods like Down the Freeman or Fallout the Fron-Tear. Always learn from those mistakes.